There was a death battle cast, here's a video about it. We got some absolutely crazy reveals, of which only one got me excited. To summarize for anybody who's so sick of my voice and opinion they already want to click off and implode themselves into a singularity or self-aggrandizing potshots at me on Twitter, here's how my reaction went. Was that Naruto? Oh, probably nothing important. Oh, okay, this is very Lex vs. Doom-esque. That's not a good sign. Oh, that's Korra. Oh, Akuma. Oh goody, Dio vs. Alucard. Can someone saw my arm off at the wrist instead? Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good Randy impression. This actually looks pretty... Wait, is that... Matter of this... But what are my more detailed thoughts? Well...
Batman vs. Iron Man!
Batman vs. Iron Man really is my equivalent to what Lex vs. Doom was to Biff. I'm getting all excited for what could be in the capeshit Marvel DC fight between two rich humans in suits with tons of abilities, even though initially I didn't give a fuck, while Biff does his best to keep my expectations in check so I don't end up coming out disappointed somehow. As for what we saw, oh boy, the DC guy is in his house when the Marvel guy shows up to pick a fight. That's very Lex vs. Doom. I am scared. Still, there are some ideas for shots that I really want to see, like Batman and Iron Man manipulating the other interplays for a long-range weapon from space to fire at them, like some other satellite near the Watchtower, or like Iron Man manipulating Batman to try to get him into position for the Phoenix Buster. That could be cool. That'd be cool. Or a shot of the House Party Protocol versus the final Batsuit standing like in this pose, but framed like that one shot of Godzilla from King of the Monsters, but instead of the kaiju around him, it's the House Party Protocol in the air ready to fight him. And Batman's just like, he's in the final Batsuit, he's ready to square up and beat the shit out of the entire House Party Protocol on his own, mano-y-mano. But during that, Iron Man says something which prompts Batman to do an I'm Batman. But then it turns out Tony was just using the House Party Protocol as a distraction to get the Mark II God Killer out, who rises up from behind, and Tony can respond with an I am Iron Man as it powers up. Stuff like that, which we're probably not going to get. As it is though, cautiously optimistic. Korra! I have no opinion on Korra. Never watched it. As much as I love Last Airbender, don't really care for the character at all. I have no opinion on the character, even if I'm definitely going to make jokes at her expense at some point. My biggest fear is that the first halfway decent Avatar episode is going to be a Legend of Korra one and not a Last Airbender one. Though they've kind of run the gauntlet on worthwhile Last Airbender matchups. What's left? The guy we've only seen throw out one move on screen when not Ant versus Metrosexual Embor? Or Sokka versus Miles Luna's self-insert? Or do you want to cream Sokka by putting him up against one of these absolute Giga Chads? Not to say Sokka isn't a Chad himself, of course, but he ain't got anything of Joseph motherfucking Joestar, the guy who's inevitably going to get an episode that doesn't show off his strategic brilliance in the slightest. Anyway, Korra's two possible opponents would be Ray Palpawalker and Delsin Rowe, neither of which excite me. Ray is a character who's the main Korra the way the three sequel trilogy movies all decided to flip each other off, and the biggest reason for Ray vs. Korra's conception was the shithouse Mary Sue's from the trash sequels to three-part classics that nobody wanted. And while there are definitely people who actually want it for the unironic connection of them being naturally gifted characters from a long line of powerful mystic entities, I don't give a shit. The actual connections are boring, and the other connections are generally just insulting to the characters. Imagine going from Obi-Wan Kenobi, an absolute top-tier Chad Supreme who broke his back carrying the entire prequel trilogy so hard he turned into Sir Alec Guinness, brilliant Puppet Master Yoda, and brilliant Puppet Master Palpatine who have more personality than the entire Dragon Ball franchise, and then going to the wooden block with less personality than the styrofoam a character archetype was shipped to Lucasfilm in. As for Delsin, I don't really care about Infamous Second Son, mostly because I just never got around to playing it. I do have it, I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But here's the thing. There is not a single timeline across any outer-versal, multi-layered, pataphysical versus jargon nonsense franchise out there, and I'm sitting here saying, I want Delsin Rowe on Death Battle before Cole McGrath, So really, this reveal has me at best violently neutral, and at worst having a nap during Ray's analysis. Akuma Rattata. Akuma is a fucking boss, one of the best Street Fighter characters, arguably the best Shoto behind Dan Ibiki, because Dan is a beast. But in this case, I am less than excited for his appearance. Now, it's not that I don't think he deserves a rerun, or that he doesn't have good matches. On the contrary, he's one of the most deserving for a rerun, considering when he was on the show last. And he's got quite a few good matches. He's got Rao from Fist of the North Star, Garao from Single Bash Guy, and someone from Baki I don't care about, but is probably cool. But if we're weighing up options, it's pretty clear he has one that takes precedent over them in terms of legacy, long-time request, and franchise rivalry. Shao Kahn. Now I really hope we don't get it, and let me get it straight, it's not just cause of the matchup itself, but here's the thing. We got 3 episodes this season made up of just returning characters. If we're to have a 4th one, it should be a matchup with immense significance, such as Samus Aran vs Master Chief, or, dare I say it, Goku vs Superman 3. That one I don't want, but if I was forced to choose another matchup with two returners that has enough significance to actually warrant being in the 10th anniversary season, I haven't got many better options than Goku vs Superman 3. We went from a season of too much Marvel and DC, leaving other franchises getting cucked and the parts of the fandom who don't care about those two series getting bored and uninterested, to a season where 8 characters are returning from prior appearances on the series. I could consider, in a 16 episode season, we get roughly 32 characters. Now some of those will be returners inevitably, every season has had at least one, but we've literally got a quarter of our combatants this season being returners. I don't like that, especially given I can count on one hand the amount of times a returning character has actually been given an analysis that's at all interesting to me. As for the matchup itself, I mean, connections are pretty lame, and while there was a time where Shao Kahn was someone I considered badass enough to want to rerun in the distant future, nowadays he walks around in a MAGA hat quoting Donald Trump and unironically trusting Shang fucking Tsung. Like, what's the intro to this fight gonna be?
I am Akuma, and I will teach you the meaning of pain. Shit like this is why I'm gonna build a wall around Outworld and make the Earthrealmers pay for it.
Or what, is it gonna start because Shao Kahn grabbed Elena by the pussy? And even ignoring all of that, it just doesn't carry any of what I want to see in an Akuma fight. Akuma vs Rao gives us a badass martial arts fight with ton of varied abilities on both sides, and the potential for the winner to use the opponent's martial art against them that's extremely debatable and close. Akuma vs Garo gives us a chance for a martial arts fight to escalate into an absurd monster battle between Oni and Monster Garo. And I'm sure Yujiro has something to it as well. Hell, younger Toguro, this jabroni probably has something cool you can do with it as well. Now that's not to say Shao Kahn doesn't have anything going for it. I can see you doing cool stuff with it. After all, Shao Kahn, despite how MK11 has decided to betray him, is inherently a martial artist first and Thor wannabe second. But I don't find him nearly as chadly as the two Akuma opponents I actually want. And do I really want to throw the country level at best Akuma into a fight against the planet level at worst Shao Kahn? Or do I really want Akuma to lose to the guy who, when he's not going around quoting Donald Trump, basically does nothing but say obviously politically incorrect things, just so other characters can say no, you're wrong, so NetherRealm can go, look guys, we're progressive because we think bad things are bad? That was a fucking stupid. That NetherRealm's stupid. It's just and like, oh fucking hell. Look, I used to like Shao Kahn. Fucking hell. By MK14, he's not even gonna have a fucking brain life. He's gonna be like, oh. His actual personality has been reduced in this franchise to an absolute moron. From a brilliant strategist who faked his death multiple times, poisoned Onaga instead of blindly fought him head on, and orchestrated the planet MK3 on his own instead of requiring Kratos' unique alter ego to give it to him. Do I really want to see that guy given such a massive dub over Akuma? Like, even Akuma's raging demon of speed advantage apparently just gets no soul by Khan. But yeah, I know it's a bit salty, Ben 10 lost and I'm going to cry 2015 set the programmer of me to complain about the character I like more losing, but I think it's justified to not want a Donald Trump supporter to not just win, but also completely stomp. And overall, there's not much about this matchup that I particularly like aside from Akuma himself, and the fact that at least the animation potential isn't as dead on arrival as Shao Kahn vs Idol. Still holding hope it's Akuma vs Garo or Raudo, that would be based as shit.
Alucard vs Dio.
Of all the matchups here, this is probably the one that I like the least, aside from Akuma vs Shao Kahn. Not because I dislike either character, on the contrary, I fucking love Hellsing Alucard, and I also really like Part 1 Dio. Yeah, honestly not a fan of the Part 3 non-event that's barely in the series, then shows up to defeat an old man and the biggest jobber in the entire season before losing to a 17-year-old punching him in the shin. So imagine my excitement when this will inevitably be Part 3 Dio. I can only hope he actually throws in some of the Part 1 smarts and abilities. The only thing of Dio's arsenal I don't want in the fight is Purple Hermit. Well, no, okay, I do want him to use Purple Hermit, but I just don't expect it. I don't even know how you'd work that in. Maybe the Flesh Buds would be cool? Like, if they use Schrodinger Alucard, it'd be a neat death if they had Dio use a Flesh Bud to convince Alucard he doesn't actually exist, so due to the effects of Schrodinger, Alucard ends up inevitably killing himself. But that requires Schrodinger Alucard to be in the battle, and I'd rather chew my own testicles off than actually have to deal with Schrodinger Alucard. Anyway, the matchup is fine in terms of the characters generally, and I think they play off each other very well in dialogue, and probably in animation. And I think the connections kinda suck, but the rivalry might carry it. But I just don't really like the debate. It's not even like it's a crazy debate, it's just, do you think Dio will wail on Alucard for 9 hours straight, which is the calculated time it would take roughly to deplete Alucard's soul reserves, not taking into account the fact that his time stop increases in duration every time he uses it? Or do you think Alucard will just sit there and get wailed on long enough for the sun to rise? Call me strange, but that sounds extremely boring. Like, I know a guy running at full speed and one-shotting his opponent wouldn't be the most exciting thing, but at least that's over quickly, as opposed to a fight that'll take at minimum around 9 hours. As an episode though, I hope it's good, and I hope the voice actor for Dio can pull his weight next to inevitably Taka as Alucard. But hey, if they get a good Dio, they need a good Dio voice actor. You've got characters voiced by Patrick Sides and Crispin Freeman, you gotta bust out the A-list for this. Please, I'd love an awesome Dio voice. In English, because he is British, so he should be speaking in English. Also, we need a scene that goes like this.
I'm going to fuck you up the anus, Dio Brando. Wait, when the hell did I get back down here? Just stop that! Suck my balls, Jojo!
That's the only JoJo meme I will accept, the stairs. Well, that or Dio donutting Alucard at some point. And the road roller, yeah, that's acceptable as well. Wow, for someone who doesn't like Part 3 Dio, I gotta admit, his memes are the only ones worth including. As it is, please, be a good episode that is not 70% JoJo memes mixed with 30% Hellsing abridged quotes. I really don't need Alucard to talk about how bitches love cannons in response to Dio asking him how many loaves of bread he's fucking eaten.
Randy Savage versus the Kool-Aid Man.
Opinion hasn't changed, cautiously optimistic, hope they handle Randy well, hope they don't have it focused too much on Boomstick's family, and hope Deadpool isn't a drag. Also, bring Boomstick's daughter from Mob vs. Tatsumaki back.
Madara versus Aizen.
This is the reveal I'm most hyped for. I got no real connection to Aizen, didn't make it through the first volume of Bleach, probably good enough to warrant continuing to read, I just got a bit bored. I don't actually remember much about the Madara storyline due to how long ago it was I read it and how much I wasn't into Naruto at that point, but here's the thing, in spite of that, Madara is like top 20, maybe top 10 anime villains for me. Ben's Illusion of Power Remastered is my favourite instrumental track of theirs, the 1 Minute Melee remains one of my favourites, and I really want Part 2 to come out sometime soon, and I think the animation potential for this is pretty crazy. They have so many cool abilities, varied powers, they can do so much, you can have so many cool shots and scenes, clashes of abilities that would never happen in canon, the things that make crossover versus so great, these interactions of power sets and personalities that could never happen in official media, it's all here, and I want it, so badly, especially for that Madara win. I will be so upset if Madara loses, and that is going to be 100% pure, biased nonsense that is the reason for that. I genuinely have not popped off for a death battle reveal since Beerus and Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end of Season 6. And while some next time trailers would have gotten it from me, like Obi-Wan vs Kakashi, obviously knowing about them in advance kinda lessened it for me. And while there were some matchups I was excited for at the time, like Genos vs War Machine to an extent, I haven't audibly gone, yeah, until this one. Seeing the Madara statue at the start, I was thinking, oh god, yes, please. And then Aizen shows up and starts talking shit. Fucking gold. But I don't have terribly much to say beyond that. It's one of those things where I can't give you a detailed explanation for why I love the matchup so much and want it so badly. I just do. You know when you got like a favorite game or movie and you don't have much of a reason for it, or when someone asks you what's your favorite color, and why is that your favorite color, and your reason is usually nothing more than it just is. There, that's my response to this set of reveals. Ambivalence, worry, disinterest, caution, and absolute unbridled jubilation in that order. Biffweed probably has his own opinions he also feels the need to share as if anybody actually cares what we think, so you can go check that out too. Hopefully I remember to put it on screen, because if I didn't, boy ain't I looking like a massive git. That's all. Bye. Support Madara vs Aizen. Good matchup. Love the characters. Well, I love Madara. Aizen's probably cool too, but Madara. Very glad they're doing it now, in light of the potential Bleach buffs that are coming. Because if it had happened later, and the Bleach buffs happened and made Aizen win, fucking end me. That would happen.